In the grim darkness of the far future, where the stars shine down on a universe riddled with chaos and despair, there exists a race that once danced among the heavens, their laughter echoing through the ages. This race is the Eldar, a people of unparalleled beauty, sophistication, and tragic decline. Their history is a tapestry woven from threads of glory and sorrow, a chronicle of a civilization that stood as the pinnacle of achievement, only to be undone by their own excesses and desires. Once, the Eldar were the masters of the galaxy, their craft worlds gliding through the void like great ships of legend. They built magnificent cities on a multitude of worlds, each a testament to their artistic and technological prowess. They were a people who reveled in life's pleasures, cultivating art, music, and philosophy that resonated with the very fabric of the universe. Their society was vibrant, a kaleidoscope of color and vitality, and their aspirations knew no bounds. Yet, in their pursuit of hedonism, they unwittingly laid the foundations for their own destruction. As the centuries turned into millennia, the Eldar's desires grew insatiable. They sought to experience everything the cosmos had to offer, pushing the boundaries of pleasure, art, and sensation. The pursuit of these pleasures became an addiction, leading them down a path of moral decay. The birth of Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess and pleasure, marked a cataclysmic turning point in Eldar history. From the psychic screams of the Eldar, Slaanesh was born, and in that moment, the galaxy was forever altered. The fall of the Eldar was a catastrophic event that shattered their civilization. A psychic shockwave rippled through the fabric of reality, tearing apart the very essence of their existence. Cities crumbled, and billions of Eldar were consumed by the insatiable hunger of the Dark God. Those who survived found themselves scattered across the galaxy, their once great empire reduced to a collection of craft worlds, each one a mere remnant of a glorious past. Among these craft worlds, one stands out, craft world Ulthwe, a bastion of hope nestled close to the Eye of Terror. The Eldar of Ulthwe have embraced their fate with grim determination. The seers of Ulthwe, gifted with foresight, strive to protect their people from the horrors that plague the galaxy. They understand that their existence is fragile, and they work tirelessly to ensure that their craft world does not succumb to the same fate that befell their ancestors. The culture of Ulthwe is steeped in the traditions of their forebears, yet it has evolved in response to the harsh realities of their existence. The Eldar of Ulthwe are not merely survivors, they are custodians of the past, preserving the knowledge and artistry of their people, even as they face the inexorable decline of their civilization. Their art reflects their history, often somber and introspective, filled with the shadows of what has been lost. Unlike the vibrant colors of their ancestors, the art of Ulthwe carries a weight that speaks of a deep understanding of loss and suffering. Despite the bleakness of their situation, the Eldar of Ulthwe remain resolute. They have learned to adapt, finding strength in their shared history and the bonds of kinship that connect them. Each Eldar on Ulthwe carries the memories of their ancestors, the tales of their glory and their downfall, and through this collective memory, they find purpose and resolve. One battle stands out in the annals of Ulthwe's history, a pivotal moment that would shape the destiny of the Eldar for generations to come. The Battle of the Blackstone Fortress was a conflict marked by desperation, a test of the Eldar's will against the encroaching tides of chaos. This confrontation was not merely a struggle for survival, it was a clash of ideologies, a battle for the very soul of the Eldar. The Blackstone Fortress, an ancient structure of unknown origins, had been a focal point of power for millennia. Once a bastion of the Eldar's technological prowess, it had become a beacon of temptation for the forces of chaos. The fortress, dark and foreboding, drew the attention of many factions, each seeking to claim its power for their own purposes. The Imperium, ever vigilant against the threat of chaos, sought to destroy it, while the dark gods wished to corrupt it, turning it into a weapon against the Eldar and their allies. As the conflict brewed in the shadows, the seers of Ulthwe foresaw the impending catastrophe. They understood that the fate of their craft world, and perhaps the fate of all Eldar, rested upon the outcome of this battle. With grim resolve, they gathered their forces, calling upon the warriors of Ulthwe to prepare for the coming storm. The Eldar knew that they could not stand idly by as the fortress fell into the hands of their enemies, and so they set forth, determined to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. The forces of Ulthwe, led by the renowned Farseer Eldar Ulthran, were a blend of ancient wisdom and martial prowess. Eldrad, a seer of unparalleled skill, had long been a guiding light for his people. His visions had shaped the course of their history, and his leadership inspired hope in the hearts of his kin. As the Eldar assembled their forces, he stood at the forefront, his presence commanding respect and admiration. He knew the stakes were high. The future of their race depended on their success. As the Eldar approached the Blackstone Fortress, the landscape darkened, shrouded in a malevolent aura. The fortress loomed before them, an imposing structure that seemed to pulse with dark energy. The air was thick with tension, and the Eldar sensed the presence of their enemies lurking in the shadows. These were not just the forces of chaos, they were the remnants of their own past, twisted and corrupted by the very desires that had once consumed their ancestors. The battle erupted with a ferocity that took both sides by surprise. The Eldar, with their superior agility and advanced technology, launched a swift and coordinated assault on the fortress. Their aspect warriors, each a master of their chosen discipline, moved with fluid grace, their movements a deadly dance of precision. The howling banshees, clad in sleek armor, darted forward, their shrieks echoing through the air as they struck with deadly intent. The fire dragons unleashed their melter weapons, turning enemy fortifications into molten slag, while the dark reapers provided cover from afar, their heavy weapons raining death upon their foes. Yet, the forces of chaos were relentless. They surged forth from the depths of the fortress, a tide of twisted forms and blasphemous creatures. Daemonettes, their bodies grotesquely beautiful, swarmed the battlefield, seeking to drag the Eldar into the depths of despair. The air crackled with dark magic as sorcerers unleashed their spells, attempting to turn the tide of battle in their favor. The Eldar fought with a desperation born of their history, knowing that failure would mean not just the loss of the fortress, but the potential annihilation of their craft world. Amidst the chaos, Eldrad fought with fierce determination. His visions guided him through the tumult, allowing him to anticipate the movements of his enemies. He rallied his troops, encouraging them to push forward against the tide of darkness. His psychic powers flared as he entered the fray, unleashing blasts of energy that tore through the enemy ranks. Yet even with his power, the battle was a brutal stalemate, with both sides suffering heavy losses. As the conflict raged on, the Eldar found themselves facing a formidable adversary. A Chaos champion, a being of immense power who had once been an Eldar himself. He stood at the forefront of the enemy forces, a twisted reflection of all that the Eldar once were. His presence filled the battlefield with an aura of despair, and the Eldar felt the weight of their own history pressing down upon them as they confronted their fallen kin. Eldrad knew that the key to victory lay in confronting this champion. He called upon his most skilled warriors, the Howling Banshees, to strike at the heart of the enemy. With unmatched speed and ferocity, they charged forward, weaving through the chaos of battle to reach the champion. Their blades sang as they struck, but he fought back with ruthless efficiency, cutting down Eldar with a wave of his hand. The battle had reached a fever pitch. The forces of chaos surged forward, threatening to overwhelm the Eldar lines. Eldrad, sensing the fragility of their position, focused his psychic might, and unleashed a devastating psychic storm that rippled through the battlefield. The ground trembled as reality itself seemed to war and twist in response to his will. The storm engulfed the Chaos Champion, and for a brief moment it seemed as if the tide of battle would shift in their favor. Yet, the champion was not easily defeated. With a roar that echoed across the battlefield, he broke free from the storm, his body wreathed in dark energies. He advanced on Eldrad, a twisted smile on his lips, and the two engaged in a duel of wills. Eldrad could feel the weight of his people's history pressing down upon him, their hopes and dreams resting on his shoulders. He fought not just for survival, but to reclaim the honor of his people, to banish the darkness that threatened to consume them. As their duel raged, the battlefield around them was a cacophony of war. The Eldar fought valiantly, but the forces of chaos were relentless, pressing their advantage. Eldrad, drawing upon the strength of his ancestors, unleashed a final surge of psychic energy. In that moment of desperation, he channeled all of his power into a single, devastating strike aimed at the champion. The air crackled with energy as the blast surged forth, colliding with the champion in a brilliant explosion of light and darkness. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stand still. The battlefield fell silent as both sides watched the confrontation unfold. Then, with a thunderous roar, the champion was engulfed in the psychic storm, his form disintegrating into a cascade of light. The forces of chaos faltered, their resolve shaken by the loss of their leader. Seizing the opportunity, the Eldar pressed their advantage, pushing back against the tide of darkness. The tide of battle turned in favor of the Eldar. With newfound determination, they struck with renewed vigor, driving the forces of chaos back into the depths of the fortress. The shadows that had once loomed over them began to recede, and hope flickered in the hearts of the Eldar. The Blackstone Fortress, once a symbol of their decline, now stood as a testament to their resilience. As the last remnants of the enemy were vanquished, Eldrad surveyed the battlefield. The cost of victory had been high, and the losses weighed heavily upon him. Yet, amidst the sorrow, he found solace in the knowledge that they had stood together, a united force against the encroaching darkness. The Eldar had fought not just for themselves but for the memory of their ancestors, reclaiming a part of their lost legacy. In the aftermath of the battle, the Eldar began the process of healing. The Blackstone Fortress, once a place of temptation, had become a sanctuary for those who survived. The Eldar of Ulthwe honored their fallen comrades, their sacrifices forever etched into the annals of their history. They understood that their culture, though diminished, was not lost. They were still the inheritors of a rich legacy, and they would carry that legacy forward, even in the face of adversity. As the stars continued to shine above, the Eldar of Ulthwe stood resolute, a beacon of hope in a galaxy filled with darkness. They had faced their past and emerged stronger, united by the bonds of kinship and the shared memory of their ancestors. In the heart of Craftworld Ulthwe, the echoes of the past remained alive, a reminder of the beauty, tragedy, and resilience of a people who had once danced among the stars. In the end, the story of the Eldar is one of decline and rebirth, a tale woven through with the threads of history, culture, and rebirth, the threads of history, culture, and the indomitable spirit of a people who refuse to be forgotten. They may be shadows of their former selves, but they carry within them the light of their ancestor. As the time passed, the Eldar of Ulthwe transformed their craft world into a fortress of wisdom and foresight. They established schools of learning where the young would be taught the history of their people, the mistakes that led to their downfall, and the importance of restraint in the face of temptation. The seers, with Eldrad at their helm, engaged in intricate rituals that sought to peer into the future, to understand the machinations of the universe, and to protect their kin from the myriad threats that loomed on the horizon. They often spoke of balance, the need to embrace the beauty of life while remaining vigilant against the excesses that had once led their ancestors to ruin. Their art, though somber, became a vehicle for expressing this newfound wisdom. The once vibrant colors were replaced with shades of grey and blue, reflecting a deep understanding of the complexity of existence. Eldar artists poured their souls into their works, creating pieces that spoke of loss, hope, and the fragile nature of life. All the while, the threat of chaos loomed ever closer. The forces of the dark gods sought to exploit every weakness, to whisper promises of power and pleasure into the ears of the unwary. And while the Eldar Ulthwe stood strong, they were not immune to the allure of temptation. The seers often held councils to discuss the nature of their existence, the delicate balance between survival and surrender to the past. Eldrad, wise and experienced, guided these discussions with a steady hand, reminding his kin of the stakes involved. Yet, even as they prepared for future conflicts, a sense of unease settled over the craft world. Eldrad's visions began to change, shifting from the clarity of past battles to murky glimpses of potential futures fraught with danger. He saw the rise of new enemies, demonic incursions, cults of chaos, and factions of the Imperium that would not hesitate to destroy them. The galaxy was a cauldron of turmoil, and the Eldar were but one flickering flame in a storm of darkness. One fateful day, as the sun sunk low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the craft world, Eldrad gathered the leaders of Ulthwe. They convened in a grand hall adorned with intricate tapestries that told the story of their people's past. The air was thick with tension, each leader aware that the decisions made here could alter the course of their future. "My kin," Eldrad began, his voice echoing with the weight of experience. "The visions I have received grow darker. The forces of chaos stir, and the Imperium's gaze grows ever more watchful. We cannot remain passive while the galaxy turns against us. We must act." The leaders murmured among themselves, weighing the implications of his words. They understood the cost of inaction, the price of complacency, but they also grappled with the fear of repeating the mistakes of the past. The room was a battleground of ideologies, a clash of caution against the urgency of action. Eldrad raised his hand for silence, his expression grave. "We must seek the Blackstone Fortress once more. But we must also be wary of its corrupting influence. Our past cannot be forgotten, nor can it be allowed to dictate our future. The decision was made. The forces of Ulthwe would embark on a journey to the Blackstone Fortress, not merely to reclaim what was lost, but to harness its power for the greater good of their people. As the warriors prepared for the expedition, Eldrad felt a sense of foreboding settle over him. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, and the echoes of the past lingered like spectres, whispering warnings of their imminent descent into chaos. As the craft world glided through the void, the Eldar warriors stood vigilant, their hearts steeled for the challenges that lay ahead. The journey was long and filled with trepidation, but the resolve of the Eldar remained unshaken. They were determined to reclaim their legacy, to forge a new path that would not lead them to the same fate as their ancestors. Upon reaching the Blackstone Fortress, the sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The ancient structure loomed before them, a colossal testament to their past glory and the darkness that had consumed it. Eldrad could feel the psychic energies emanating from it, a siren's call that beckoned to him and his kin. They had to be cautious. The fortress held both promise and peril. As they entered its depths, the atmosphere shifted, heavy with an oppressive weight. Shadows danced along the walls, and the air crackled with dark energies. The Eldar moved with purpose, their senses heightened, aware that they were not alone. The forces of chaos would not allow them to reclaim their legacy without a fight. As they delved deeper into the fortress, they encountered the twisted remnants of those who had been lost to the darkness. Abominations that had once been Eldar emerged, their forms grotesquely altered by the influence of Slaanesh. These corrupted beings were a chilling reminder of their past, a testament to what had been lost. The Eldar fought back with ferocity, their blades singing as they struck down their fallen kin, each death a painful reminder of the choices that had led to this moment. The battle raged within the fortress, a chaotic clash of wills as the Eldar fought to reclaim their legacy. Eldrad, at the forefront of the conflict, channeled his psychic powers to hold the forces of chaos at bay. He felt the weight of his ancestors upon him, their hopes and dreams fueling his resolve. He fought not just for survival, but for redemption, for the chance to rewrite the narrative of his people. As the conflict reached its zenith, Eldrad and his warriors found themselves face to face with a powerful daemon prince of Slaanesh, a being of unimaginable power and malice. The creature loomed before them, its form a twisted mockery of beauty, exuding an aura of temptation and despair. It sought to lure the Eldar into its grasp, to consume their souls as it had done countless times before. Eldrad could feel the pull of the daemon's influence, the seductive whispers that promised power beyond measure. But he stood firm, drawing upon the strength of his kin and the lessons of their past. "We will not succumb to your desires," he declared, his voice ringing out against the darkness. "We are the Eldar, and we will reclaim our destiny." With a surge of psychic energy, Eldrad unleashed a torrent of power against the daemon, a radiant beam that tore through the air. The creature howled in rage as the light clashed against the darkness, illuminating the chamber in a blinding flare. The Eldar warriors rallied behind their Farseer, their resolve strengthened by his defiance. As the battle raged on, the tide began to shift. The Eldar fought with renewed vigor, their blades striking true against the forces of chaos. They remembered the sacrifices of their ancestors, the lessons learned through centuries of pain and suffering. With every enemy they cut down, they felt a sense of redemption, a reclamation of their lost legacy. In the heart of the conflict, Eldrad faced the Daemon Prince once more. The clash of their powers was titanic, a battle of wills that shook the very foundation of the fortress. Eldrad channeled every ounce of his strength, drawing upon the memories of his people, the hopes and dreams that had been forged in the fires of adversity. In a final surge of power, Eldrad unleashed a devastating psychic blast, engulfing the daemon in a radiant explosion of light. The creature let out a final, anguished scream as it was consumed by the force, its essence banished back to the wall. The Eldar stood victorious, the echoes of their triumph reverberating through the fortress. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, Eldrad surveyed the aftermath. The Blackstone Fortress, once a symbol of their decline, now stood as a testament to their resilience and determination. The Eldar had faced the darkness, confronted their past, and emerged stronger for it. In the days that followed, the Eldar of Ulthwe began the process of healing. They honored their fallen comrades, their sacrifices forever etched into the annals of their history. The Blackstone Fortress, now reclaimed, would serve as a bastion of hope and a reminder of the choices that had shaped their destiny. Eldrad looked upon his kin with pride. They had faced the abyss and emerged not just as survivors, but as a people renewed. The lessons of their past would not be forgotten. Instead, they would guide them as they forged a new path forward. The Eldar were not merely shadows of their former selves. They were custodians of a rich legacy, a legacy that would endure through the ages. As the stars twinkled above, the Eldar of Ulthwe stood resolute, united by the bonds of kinship and the shared memories of their ancestors. They understood that their journey was far from over, that the galaxy remained a tumultuous place filled with threats and challenges. But they were no longer defined by their past. They had reclaimed their legacy, and with it, the hope of a brighter future. In the heart of Craftworld Ulthwe, the echoes of history remained alive, a reminder of the beauty, tragedy, and resilience of a people who had once danced among the stars. The Eldar would continue to strive for a future where they could embrace life's pleasures without falling victim to the darkness that had once consumed them. They were the heirs of a glorious past, and they would carry that legacy forward, a flicker of hope in a galaxy filled with shadows. And thus, the tale of the Eldar continues, a story of decline, redemption, and the enduring spirit of a people who refuse to be forgotten. As long as the stars shine in the night sky, their legacy will endure, a testament to their strength, beauty, and unwavering resolve.